Although I often get lost in the vortex and start linking everything up to controlling bodies, such as the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst controlling the dialectics, etc., there are actually genuine conflicts going on between the Western intelligence agencies and the Russian intelligence agencies. There are plenty of genuine conflicts going on, and indeed everything is factional. So I'm not entirely sure, convinced that there is a controlling body. Indeed, even such networks as the intelligence branch of IG Farben, which is termed NW7, their main network, which congregates together in the Bilderberg group, even the Bilderberg group are factional and they assassinate each other. So everything is factional, and I don't believe any specific group is actually controlling the world. Indeed, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst is itself factional. As I was explaining yesterday, there are splits between the various secret society orders within the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, and then splits within the actual framework of the splits themselves. So everything is split down and everything is compartmentalized. Indeed, it's quite interesting to consider the activities of British and Russian intelligence in relation to the attempts of British and Russian intelligence factions to gain control of my soul. Indeed, it seems that the Cold War is continuing. It's a hybrid war that I've termed Cold War-2, and there are genuine conflicts going on between British intelligence services and Russian intelligence services. Although where the distinctions are is quite interesting indeed. There are certain networks that actually work together specifically to keep the conflicts of other factions going. So it's all a rather interesting intelligence vortex, really. Indeed, it seems to me that much of the efforts of the British and Russian intelligence services are spent in attempting to control the minds of the operatives of the opposing agency. Indeed, regarding my programming as a super spy by the British intelligence services, the Russian intelligence services then attempted to tap into that programming and program me as a cosmic spy, effectively a schizophrenic alien, which is very interesting considering the currents of Russian parapsychological research. Indeed, it seems that the majority of the programming that I underwent via the British intelligence mind control programs was more based on a satanic structure of mind control programming, what with the main instigators of my programming being Hellfire Club initiates, whereas the Russian mind control programs that I was put through after running away from the British ones were more aligned to cosmic theory and had a lot more to do with parapsychology in a cosmic sense than the mind control experiments that I'd underwent in the British domains. Indeed, as I stated before, the much of the mind control programming that occurred for me within Britain, first at Grenville Lodge during the years 2012 and 2013, the early months of 2013 anyway, most of the programming that, and also later in 2015, 16 and 17 at various black sites across Wiltshire. Indeed, I was often picked up when alone in the street at times of day when there weren't many people around. I was drugged and then taken to various black sites across Wiltshire and reprogrammed with Nazi fetishist ideology. Indeed, it all seems that this was as a part of the Gladio 2 programming that I underwent. Indeed, this agenda served to keep me in line with British intelligence interests, because anyone spouting Nazi ideology is effectively working for British intelligence. People that spout Nazi ideology are easily manipulated by the intelligence services. Indeed, these neo-Nazi satanic cults, etc., that are proliferating are very easy for the British intelligence services to use within their own agenda. Indeed, it's interesting to consider the fact that these Nazi fetishist British intelligence networks were utilizing me, considering their actual genuine feelings towards me. Indeed, I have heard it said that one British intelligence operative said that natural selection should have weeded me out of the genetic continuum a long time ago. Indeed, I am considered weak, indeed, as Rupert Lowe designated me in a video, as I explained, as a degenerate. It is quite interesting to note that Rupert Lowe at one point was an employee of Deutsche Bank, which means there is a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst link between Rupert Lowe and the intelligence services. It seems that he has a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst connection, just as does the Director General of MI6, Blaise Metrovelli. As I've explained in other videos, indeed, there is a controlling percentage of British intelligence, which is Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives, though, as I've also stated, this is all factional. So various factions of Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives are competing against other factions of Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives. Indeed, various factions of Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives assassinate other factions of Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives. So it is not nothing is monolithic. Indeed, sometimes I explain theories as if there is a monolithic control structure, but this isn't actually the case. Indeed, everything is factional. The Jesuits are factional. British intelligence is factional. Certain elements of British intelligence are working for certain branches of Russian intelligence, and other branches of British intelligence are working for different branches of Russian intelligence. And it's all very interesting, but the lines are blurred in the intelligence agency world. But it does seem like a lot of the emphasis, especially since the beginning of the Cold War originally, has been on control of the mind. And paranoid schizophrenics have been the key targets for these mind control operations. Indeed, I've examined the creation of 3 distinct categories of schizophrenic test subjects. Indeed, the schizophrenic ghosts, who are programmed to commit atrocities that further Gladio 2 and the Russian equivalent programs. Indeed, this program is involved in the creation of serial killers and maniacs and various other murderers, and a lot of this is to cover up for elite networks of Masonic and KGB, etc. psychopaths. So these schizophrenic ghosts are used as patsies for these networks to cover up for murders that are committed by these networks or networks associated with the lodges or the KGB secret societies. So it's all very interesting to consider. Another category that I mentioned is the schizophrenic super spy. Indeed, the Mindgate program of British intelligence services was rolled out in a certain way with certain sub-projects related to the creation of schizophrenic super spies, which, with the Masonic British intelligence operatives' knowledge of the schizophrenic mind being a receiver for cosmic intelligence, it was believed that this could be harnessed for reasons of national security, and therefore schizophrenics were recruited into the British intelligence services and programmed in a certain way so as to become schizophrenic super spies. And this practice is continuing even till today. It started in 1947 and is continuing until today. Indeed, the British intelligence services, however, have been experimenting on schizophrenics since at least the 1770s. So this is not a new phenomenon. However, the concept of the schizophrenic super spy was really morphed in the early years of the Cold War. And the project that I was programmed as part of regarding the schizophrenic super spy concept was Project Aniseed. And because of the memory erasure, I'm not entirely sure what particular mechanisms were used in my programming. However, this is the nature of mind control. You don't actually know it's being done, and you never quite work out how it was done. So, despite theories of mine that I was an experimental reject, it seems that a lot of the mind control programming did actually take hold, because I was operating in a way that the British intelligence services wished me to for a very long time. Indeed, the other category created by the intelligence services is the schizophrenic alien, which seems to be very much a Russian intelligence phenomenon. Indeed, the Unit 11913 that I was recruited into involves the creation of basically schizophrenic aliens, people who are mind controlled to act as conduits for what the Russian intelligence services believe is an extraterrestrial life source. So this is interesting to consider the fact that the Russian intelligence services are so engaged in parapsychology. It seems to be part of their endgame agenda regarding the fact that the Western NATO countries are basically encircling the Russian Federation. And therefore, in this situation, the Russian intelligence services can basically send out an army of Russian schizophrenic aliens to basically cause trouble in the West. Or they can merely keep networks of these Russian schizophrenic aliens in basements of old communist buildings, basically analyzing the minds and the activities of the West, basically. So it's all quite interesting. It's a very, very interesting scenario what is going on in espionage at the moment. These mind control programs have led to the espionage world becoming particularly fascinating, really. Indeed, there are many networks of mind controlled assassins. I never went through a assassin program. Indeed, I was not even trained for any physical combat, because they believed that with the roles I was to be playing, any training in physical combat would give me a certain bearing in my physical stature that would give away the fact that I was an operative in that regard, indeed. So I never went through any combat training, which is kind of quite bad. It's quite bad of the intelligence services to have expected me to operate as an operative, especially in places such as the Balkans, when they hadn't actually given me any hand-to-hand combat training or weapons combat training or martial arts training. So I was basically in a very vulnerable position. As I remain to this day, I remain in a very vulnerable position because of the experimentation that the British intelligence services have carried out on me, and because of the experimentation that the Russian intelligence services have carried out on me. So I'm basically just living in a strange little bubble at the moment, and I have to work out what to do. And I'm figuring things out in a rather interesting way. Now that I've reached the age of 35, it seems that a lot of my memories are beginning to come back to me, and I am beginning to become able to really piece together all the events that have occurred since January 2012. Indeed, January 2012 was when I first was hit by some sort of beam. It was interesting that I actually basically saw the beam. It was kind of like a synthetic lightning strike, and then suddenly my life was never the same after that. Indeed, I entered paranoid realms of thinking that I'd never ever considered that I would do. Indeed, I hadn't actually realized that I was mentally ill either before that point. I'd been in denial about the fact that there was something wrong with my mind, but obviously the parapsychologists, psychiatrists, and researchers of Grenville Lodge immediately saw that they could use me as a test subject. Indeed, I believe they may have already known of me because of my exploitation by Hellfire Club Graham in my younger years, and therefore they knew they could use me as a test subject in the ongoing Hellfire Club mind control experimentation that is occurring at Grenville Lodge number 1787, which utilizes the University of Buckingham as a corporate front. Indeed, I believe many of the other students were aware of the mind control programming that was occurring there, and due to the Masonic links of their families, were either sworn to silence or were involved. And it's very interesting to note the behavior of the people around me. It was all basically choreographed. And this is the clever mechanisms of mind control programming, because once everything around you is choreographed and you start figuring out about the mind control experimentation and certain rituals, etc., that are going on, as soon as you start talking about it, everybody closes down and it's impossible to expose anything without being sectioned, basically. This is very similar to what happened in Devices. However, it was a different concept. Indeed, Devices merely wanted to protect the reputation of their town, which is actually a false reputation anyway, as Devices is a very seedy place. And indeed, I believe that Devices would have been prepared to have killed me to protect the pseudo reputation of their town, which is very interesting. Indeed, I believe that certain Masonic lodges are influencing the thoughts of people around me, even in this new town that I'm dwelling in, so as to cause me as much social isolation as possible and to basically cause me to become an outcast, because the Masonic lodges in Wiltshire are terrified of the fact that I could reveal rather a lot about them, and therefore they are maintaining a hive mind of the populaces to basically attempt to scare me away or force me into suicide. Indeed, students of the University of Buckingham also attempted to force me into suicide, which is very interesting because although I spent many years after the University of Buckingham under mind control programming, I had actually begun to break out of it while I was there. I had figured out that something was going on. However, it's all being covered up now. And just as the exposures of the Wiltshire police networks and the Devices rape phenomenon have been covered up, it seems that I am just destined to be alone making these videos, basically, but I'm not unhappy, so it's not really a problem. Indeed, I'm going to leave it there now.